Well, it is always a pleasure to catch up with our next guest here on GCR. He is the pride of Carroll County. He is the Snyder man. He is Captain America, a gold medal winner, a silver medal winner, and now looking for a third this summer in Paris. He is Mr. Kyle Snyder, and he's back with us on GCR. Kyle, it's Glenn. It's always good to catch up with you, man. Thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes for us this morning.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Man,
Good to see you guys.
it's so good to chat with you, dude. Just being able to get to know you a little bit and following you, you're so easy to root for. I wonder if I could start here. I know since the last time you and I spoke, there's been a big change in your life. You've become a dad. And Father's Day is coming up this week, and I nothing has changed me more as a human than becoming a father myself. I got two little boys. How is your perspective going through the last few years, the preparation for the Olympics, everything? How has everything about your life changed now that you've become a dad?
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, I've always been excited about being a dad, and I love teaching and I love leading, and it's just so much fun, being with my son Judah. And now that I mean, he's getting close to 2 years old, so it's a pretty fun age. There's a lot of things that he's learning, and Um, but I mean, it's a lot of work, as everyone knows that's a parent. And when you're also training to be the best in the world, I feel like it's really helped me and my wife communicate better. And, uh, I feel like we're even more of a team now that we've had Judah, just because I need her more. I need her support, so that I can go train and be focused and know that he's taken care of. So, and then I mean, I've always been competitive and always wanted to win, but now that I got a son, it's like I really need to win. I want him to see me win.
That's cool. I saw your interaction after the Olympic trials and like just what that does. And I imagine it's the same thing too, like after a difficult day of training and things like that, just seeing that face and what it does for you. There truly is nothing like it. It's,
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm drive home from practice every day, and he's standing, on the couch looking through the window, looking at me when I pull up, and he's always excited to see me. So it's good. I feel like I've always heard people talk about dad strength too in wrestling, and I don't feel like I got physically stronger, but mentally, sometimes you go into practice and you're haven't slept much and they're having a rough day and stuff. So, but no one cares about how you're feeling, so you can't care, and you just got to keep training hard and compete hard.
that's cool, man. That is so cool. Kyle, I wonder, now you came on. You were such a force when you arrived on the international scene. At getting a little bit closer to 30 now, is this easier to go through because you've been through it so much? Is it more difficult because you start to feel that you're a little bit older than some of these other guys a little bit? Like it, what have you learned? I guess is it easier or more difficult at 28 than it was at 20?
I mean, my body still feels great. So physically, I'm feel strong and great conditioning, and feel like I'm still getting better at wrestling. I think this kind of the thing that I have to keep in me is like that life or death type mentality. Like, this is the last match of my career type of
Hmm.
like competition, even though it isn't, but when it's your first time and everything's new, you're really excited, and you're being really intentional about everything you're doing. And then now I've been doing it for 10 years. So um I want to keep that intentionality and the same type of fire. So I would say that's kind of the biggest thing, is just mentally staying ready. I think a lot of wrestlers and athletes probably could compete longer than they do, but physically, but mentally, it's hard to stay in it.
I understand that. I understand. Is there anything that you do to try to like I obviously we all know what you can do to train physically, right? Like we all understand that. Can you?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you can do? Do you work with a mental health coach? Anything? Is there anything that you can do to keep up the other side of it?
Yeah, I mean, first, I mean, just praying and studying the Bible and asking God for help has always been my number one, strength. And I believe he's helped me a lot in my career. And then my strength coach Neil Serafinas, he is like a mentality coach as well.
Cool.
The coaches, I train at Penn State, so
Hmm.
the coaches here really have put a lot of emphasis on training your mind. Um and also, I'd say the other part of it is the way you physically train has an impact, because if you're overtraining and you're doing too much, that'll mentally drain you quickly. So you got to be training properly.
That's cool. That's cool. Kyle Snyder with us here on GCR. Kyle, a silver medal for almost anyone on the planet is one of the greatest accomplishments that you could ever have in your life at the Olympics. I wonder for you, and we didn't talk a lot about it then, but is it in 2021, were you able to look at it still as an accomplishment, or could you only feel kind of the bitterness of defeat? And how much does that drive you now for everything you've accomplished to come back for 2024 and say, that's not my story, I'm not a silver medalist?
Yeah, every time I compete, I expect to win, and that's what I'm planning on doing. And so I mean, it doesn't really feel like anything. Taking silver at the Olympics or bronze at the World Championship, stuff like that. Like I mean, I'm thankful for the result and thankful to have medals and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not what I believe I'm capable of doing. So you know, it just doesn't mean a whole lot to me. And but as to motivation, it's like it is motivating knowing the Olympics is only every 4 years, so I got to be really ready for this competition and feel like training has been great. And you know, but it's not like I just love to compete and I love to wrestle, and I know I'm doing what God wants me to do, and that's really my motivation and why I'm wrestling and how I'm able to, you know, still compete at this level for as long as I have.
It's cool. So, I know this is not your decision. You've got nothing to do with it. But I know a lot of wrestling fans bummed out that there's not going to be another Snyder Sadulaev showdown at the Olympics this summer. It's been this unbelievable rivalry that has captivated the sport. As a competitor, I know like all you can think about is like, dude, I got to go out and face the guys that I got to go out and face, right? Like I can't worry about it.
Yeah.
But is there a moment of reaction or discipline? Like, are you guiding, building yourself up for that? Like, what does it feel like when you get that news that someone that you've been measured against for so long is not going to be competing against you?
Yeah, I mean, based on what I see, I think he will be competing there.
Okay.
I mean, the IOC said, that he was not allowed to compete, but that's something that they revisit
Okay.
often. So, I mean, I've seen videos of him training. He wrestled at the Russian Nationals. He's in shape. He's making Instagram posts about wrestling. So, I fully anticipate him being there. And if he isn't there, then the next Russian that they'll send is good too. So I mean, it's just, but I want him to be there, and I hope he's there. And I mean, it's just unfortunate. Like, you just want the best competitors there,
Right. Right.
so that's what I'm looking for.
I completely. How much has that like driven you? How much? And again, I get it. You're driven. You mentioned the things you're driven by, but what has that rivalry meant to you in pushing you and trying to get you to be your best?
Oh yeah, I mean, having somebody like that in the weight class. I like having really good domestic competition. When I made my first Olympic team, I was wrestling an Olympic champion to make that team, and then I want the best guys in my weight internationally, because it's like I'm always refining and always like I know I can't take a day off because these guys are good, and I need to get better at different technical things and different strategy. And so I mean, I love having those guys in my weight. It's a big motivation for me in training, and a lot of times I'm training specifically for them.
Wow. So I mean, like, do you have someone? We see this in football where somebody like plays the role of like the opposing quarterback. You know,
Yeah.
like poor guys have to try to pretend to be Lamar Jackson when they get ready to play the Ravens, and you know it's almost impossible. But do you have like a coach who's responsible for trying to mimic the style of guys that you think you might face at the World Championships or at the Olympics?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of different guys in the room. I mean, obviously Penn State's
Yeah.
the best program
Yeah,
of all
I
time,
hear
so
you
you
guys
got
have some wrestling.
yeah, so we have a lot of different feels, and a lot of guys, specific parts of their wrestling are um is what I need to wrestle against for, the guys that I compete internationally. So, yeah, I mean, and then we have coaches here who can pretty much wrestle like anybody. So,
That's cool. So speaking of Penn State, there's another Maryland wrestler who's come on the scene recently, and I wonder what we should know about Aaron Brooks and like how confident you are in his ability to join you on like the medal podium this summer in Paris.
yeah, I mean, Aaron, I would be I mean, in my mind, he's a gold medalist.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, but really, we have 6 guys on the men's freestyle team. Everyone is a real gold medal contender, and I'm not just saying that because they're my teammates, but I mean, Aaron beat the reigning Olympic and world champion to
Yep.
make the team,
Yep.
and he beat him handedly. I know there's going to be good guys in the weight class, but he's definitely, I think he's the best wrestler in the world, but it's just about being the best that day.
Yeah, oh, I totally understand that, and a very cool thing, obviously, for us back here that it's another local guy that's finding success. Kyle,
Yeah.
you and I remember 8 years ago, like, the first time I ever talked to you, I threw out things like, "Hey, what do you think this looks like down the road?" And you talked about like, "Hey, man, I don't know. Maybe I would consider the UFC. Obviously, we've seen Bo Nickel find great success that way. Maybe I would consider." But you've stuck to this, and this being what drives you, and we've seen other wrestlers, nobody named, go try out in the NFL, right? Like, why
Yeah.
why have you stayed so committed to this sport specifically and the goals that you have wanted to pursue within this sport?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a UFC fan. I've gone to a bunch of fights, and I like watching the fighting. I don't think it's ever something that I'll get into. And I mean, I'm a big football fan too. Like football was always my favorite sport growing up. I just am 5'11",
Yeah, not
so
yeah, not
5'11"
quite.
white dude. Not gonna, yeah, not gonna make it. If I had a couple more inches, maybe I'd be trying out for some teams too, but not happening. So I mean, and then wrestling. I love wrestling. I love training. I love fighting in the practice room and in the competition. And that drive is still in me, and I still believe I'm doing what God wants me to do, and that's what's most important to me. And so that's why I'm still in wrestling.
Yeah, what is the discipline like now that you're only, we're less than 2 months away, right? We were joking before the show that after the first gold medal, you came in studio with us and we were eating Chick-fil-A that day and having fun. Like, do you get to have Chick-fil-A when you're 2 months away from the Olympics? Like, what does your day look like now that you're this close to any major international competition?
Yeah, I break my year up into like 3 different parts, kind of. I have the real serious training, which is what I'm in now. And then, after the Olympics until January 1st, that's kind of like my off season, even though I'm still training. But, I'm more relaxed with my nutrition.
Okay.
I'm more relaxed when I go into practice, just working on technical things. And then I start to turn it up and my nutrition gets a little more serious, but it's not as dedicated, as disciplined as it can be. But at this point in my wrestling, it's like everything is 100% locked in, no cheat meals, no um, going to bed on time every night,
Wow.
recovering properly, taking the training very seriously, planning out all those sessions, what I'm gonna focus on and what I'm gonna do. So that's where I'm at now.
No, so what is like a eat like okay, you sit down for dinner. What does dinner look like tonight?
I'll take you through a day because it's
Okay.
the same thing every day, pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, a little variation. So I wake up, I have uh water with lemon in it, and then I have a green juice, and then I'll train. I'll come back upstairs. I'll make a smoothie with coconut milk, bananas, strawberries, spinach, a bunch of different powders.
It doesn't sound so bad.
Um, no, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll have a couple eggs with some sourdough toast, and then I'll have like lunch will usually be whatever we had like the night before. So like steak and rice or steak and potatoes,
Okay.
chicken and potatoes and stuff like that, and usually have some like almonds and sunflower seeds, and then go to practice and train, come back, have a protein shake, have dinner, which like I said, I mean it's just like steak, chicken, ground beef, salmon, stuff like that. And yeah. So
I
I mean it's pretty simple. It's just like whole foods, nothing really processed. That's kind of what
that
I do.
doesn't sound so bad actually when you put it that way. Like,
No.
keeping the regimen,
Yeah.
I'd feel like that actually can work and that it wouldn't be that disappointing. Kyle, before I let you go, I think about obviously 2021. It was, a very unique time in our history, and it led to there just not really being much of an atmosphere. I think about Paris, and it's the site of, obviously besides the first gold medal, maybe your greatest moment in wrestling. And I remember watching that match, and the crowd was wild and electric and into it. How much of a difference does that make for you, like knowing you're gonna have a crowd and there's gonna be an atmosphere this summer in comparison to the last time?
Yeah, I mean it's just more fun. I mean, and I enjoy the whole process. I like the preparation and then when it comes to competition, I mean it's just more fun to have people there. And I think there will be a lot of people. And I mean last time it was a very pro Russian, you know, European crowd, which I also like. I mean,
Yeah,
it's fun to compete in the United States too, but it's fun to compete somewhere else and people are against you and I like that. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be more fun. I have about like 30, 40 people coming, family, friends, high school wrestling coach. So, I mean, that's a lot of fun too.
that's awesome, man. But no, I get the idea of like it's just any sort of atmosphere. The good guy, everybody loves me, great. Everybody hates me, great. I just need something.
Yeah,
Like get my
yeah.
juices flowing when I'm out there. I appreciate that wholeheartedly. All right, it's at Snyderman45, of course, Snyder with a Y, Snyderman45 on Instagram, and Snyder_man45 on Twitter. Kyle, is there anything else that we can plug for you, man, that you have going on?
No, man, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Dude,
Good to see you guys.
it has been so cool watching you and getting to know you over the years. We're so excited for you and what you're going to go accomplishment and really more than anything, so happy for you and your family and that you're getting to do this with your wife and your son. That's such a cool thing, dude. Congratulations on everything. Can't wait to see you in Paris and look forward to chatting. Maybe we can make it work again that we can hang out and have some Chick-fil-A afterwards.
Yeah,
That was,
yeah, that sounds good.
I love it, man. Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate you, dude.
Yep. See you guys.